Yo, good morning. It's real early, so I apologize for the lighting and looking like I'm half asleep. Promise I had some coffee. Ran through everything again, just double checked the injury report this morning. Last week was just so close. Such a great week as far as just the numbers go. 5 out of 6 picks correct against the spread. That's great. You can't really argue with that. That's great results. However, it was very disappointing to see the one we missed be the Panthers over the Saints. I know for a fact that that was a pick that ended a lot of people's survivor pools this year. Yeah, really big bummer. It's the difference between basically making the whole season back in earnings, plus some to have for the rest of the year, and nothing. So go 5 out of 6. I was thinking about round robin in last week, and I obviously decided not to. That would have been perfect. So hopefully you're following along and taking what you like and betting along like the sharps do and taking just the teams. But here we go again. I thought about retiring after going 5 out of 6, but here we go. Sunday morning, better late than never. Again, a lot of this is for posterity for the future, but I'm in every week. I'm committed to making money, so I'm gonna do it every week. I'm gonna put my best effort forward, and we'll see what we can do. So, first game I had on my list, I'm gonna go ahead and take that game off. I wanted to start the bounce back Bills train. So I was like, Bills don't lose twice in a row. They throw out a fluke, and then the next week they come out on top. We're gonna see a dominant showing. But then I look through the roster, and the defense is completely depleted. So completely depleted. Yeah, that's just not gonna work. I know Baker's kind of dealing with the same thing on offense, but at this point he's been doing that for like 4 weeks now, so it's been up and down, but it's a little bit too risky for me as far as defenses go. Bills just are too porous with all their injuries, and Bucks seem to have everybody in action, so I could see the game being a little more low scoring than anticipated, 23-20, something like that. So I'm not comfortable with that -6 for the Bills. And then also taking the Bucks on the road, I'm a little too weary of that too. So I really don't know at this point once I looked into the stats and stuff. And then, there's always like little trends that you can keep an eye out for. So like, it's tough to play them Florida boys. That applies more in college and in high school, but something about Florida, man. It's just like, going down to Miami and just playing them Florida boys, this is always going to be sort of like this thing that I guess it just causes people to trip randomly. So maybe that's what happened last week. Maybe the Bills bounce back. I'm going to go ahead and remove that, though, just giving you a little breakdown as to like, yes, I am able to not take some of these big spreads that are -6 favorites and stuff. So we're walking away from that one. Follow that up. I almost walked away from this one too, but I'm going to stick with it. I think we got basically an exact rematch of the opening game, Bears Vikings, except we're doing this one in Minnesota, so we're doing the Minneapolis version. But in that first game, it really was a lot of Bears control, and the Bears had a lot of chances to kind of I don't know about put the game away, but extend their lead, and they missed out on those opportunities, and the Vikings played a really well coached game, and they ended up just like, kind of running the clock out and just outlasting the Bears in that first game. I don't think the Bears are susceptible to that so much anymore. I think that they're going to put up a much better fight this time, based on what they've been doing this season. And just record alone, they're not coming into Minnesota scared about the past 4 or 5 years. They're ready to play and show, this is their year in the NFC North. So 6-3 is pretty good. They're looking to go 7-4 today. Next game is gonna upset some people, but I can't, in good conscience, like not bet on a team with a defense that's arguably this good. And it's so up and down that I can't really confirm that they are going to be this good today. But the Packers in the Meadowlands. The Meadowlands is on fire right now. They almost burned the place to the ground. Oh yeah, sorry. Before I get into that, obviously intense description. Bears do have a lot of injuries on offense and defense, more than the Vikings. Vikings are looking pretty solid as far as injuries go. But just as far as key injuries, I think that the Bears and the Vikings are basically rolling out with really similar lineups to the first game of the year. That's why I said that, because this year, or this time of year, is where the injuries start to really show themselves. They start to stack up on each other. And then, you got the dog days coming up in the next couple games, where you got the last 6 games of the year, 5 games of the year. And so some trends start to show, better built teams, deeper teams will be able to sustain, win streaks and stuff. So anyways, back to that dumpster fire that is New York sports, I guess, New York football sports. Packers are going to the Meadowlands. Look, the Packers offense fucking sucks right now. I'm sorry to say that. It's just the way it is. It doesn't mean that they don't have the tools. I like Josh Jacobs. He's the man. He can do it on anybody. Jordan Love seems like he's in his head a little bit. Maybe I don't know if these guys get to a point where they now he thinks that he needs to just keep the game in control and can't be an athlete or whatever and make plays. But if your team can hold the defending Super Bowl champs to 10 points, right? You got a pretty good defense. That alone, just go down the line, and this doesn't always work, which didn't work with the Packers. It did. Packers Carolina. So Packers play Philadelphia and don't let Philadelphia score, and Philadelphia isn't able to score, and then the Philadelphia defense, can't score on them. Philadelphia plays New York the week before and can score a bunch of points on New York's defense, and then lets New York's offense score a couple points. Okay, so now New York playing Packers come back full circle. I'm saying that we should be looking at a pretty similar result as to what the Philadelphia Eagles will look like against the Giants, just based on matchups. It's clear that the Packers and the Eagles are pretty evenly matched up, and they wanted to go into that and really not lose. They didn't play to win, but they played not to lose, and both of them lost. It felt like both of them were going to lose, and both of them could have lost, but the Packers were the ones that came out with the L. It's kind of been the theme this year of coaches just not wanting to take chances so that the game isn't in their hands or whatever at the end, and they always have a chance to win. So I'm saying Packers last week was, it's been 2 weeks in a row, but I think that they're on their way out of that slump. That's all I'm saying. Philadelphia is not a good metric to stack your team up against. They struggled against Philadelphia. Okay, that's good. Philadelphia's good. That checks out. They should. If you blow out Philadelphia, we got to take a look at what's going on. In that first Rams game, we were freaking out for the first half, first 3 quarters. And then little did we know that was a bit of foreshadowing. Philadelphia hasn't been really that dominant this year as everyone expected. So anyways, here we go. Moving on. Packers, and in that game, Packers are all the way up to -7. And I think it's moved down. At this point, it's moved towards the Giants. I'm debating on whether to put this money line or not because of the payout, obviously. But as of right now, I'm listing it as money line. That's with the Bears +3. And then Bills are off this parlay. So it's going to end up being 5 teams this week. And if you can get the Ravens down to a reasonable number, then this will still pay out pretty good. So maybe stick with Packers money line. They're gonna beat the freaking Giants, there's so many different game times that's happened this year where I've gotten my ass kicked, but fuck it. Law of averages, I'm sticking with it, and I'm gonna hope that we buck the trend this week, and that things that make sense happen and things that don't make sense don't happen. Next up, this one. This is a tough one. I honestly believe that this spread is too small. It's the Texans it was -7.5. It's down to -5.5. over the Titans in Tennessee, I think. So what have the Titans done that would make you think that they're going to be a one-score opponent against? Yes. And at this point, if you're not playing a division game in your parlay or in your top 5 picks, then you're playing every game that's not a division game, because it's really hard to avoid them at this point. So I apologize. It's basically breaking rule number 1 to take these rivalries, but at this point, they're gonna be sprinkled throughout. So here we go, and I take off the Bills Bucks, one of the 2 that wasn't a division matchup. So there I go. But anyways, it's just these are the best matchups, and I gotta stick with the algorithm. So Texans -6 over the Titans. The breakdown there: Texans are actually pretty good on injuries, aside from C.J. Stroud. So the Texans defense has been absolutely dominant this whole year. They've been top 3 in every category. Titans have been bottom 3 in every offensive category. I don't get it. Davis Mills went off last week. He's played a great backup role before. He's got his 6th win. He doesn't win that much, but he does get in there quite a bit in that role. He's been there for 3 different starting quarterbacks as their backup. So they like the guy. They think he can compete. I said this last week to a friend of mine. I was like, he needed a backup quarterback for fantasy because this guy had a bye. I said Davis Mills is gonna be able to throw against the Jags, and sure enough, he went off. Anyway, neither here nor there. Moving on. Yeah, come on, Texans. Just things that should happen. Things that are crazy, let's leave those at home. Let's let those go back in Halloween, like spooky season. We'll leave those behind. Second to last pick, another division game on the road. We're going pedigree here. We're going coaching here. We're going history here. We're going 49ers visiting the Cardinals, and we're buying the hook to -3. 49ers get it done after a blowout last week, a tough loss to their rivals. Again, that was a revenge game for the Rams. Rams have been on a heater for 5 weeks since they lost to the Niners. There was no way they were going to go out there and lose to the Niners again. But the Niners are maybe, they're playing a mediocre team. They're much better than what they look like against a great team like the Rams that everyone has as a top 2 Super Bowl favorite right now. Which, man, but they were top 5 preseason. But yeah, I'm a little surprised that they're so dominant in this last 5 weeks. But again, you get embarrassed and things can change for you in the locker room. So that seems to be what has happened in LA. But back to San Francisco, we're buying that hook. San Francisco defense doesn't have their 2 big dogs, Fred Warner or Bosa. However, we're betting pedigree, we're betting franchise, right? We're like, their depth is there. They're gonna find a way to get it done. I believe they can function without Fred Warner, especially the more they have practice time together as a unit. And so we're gonna bet on the Niners over Jacoby. And they stumbled last week too, the Cardinals. So they looked pretty similar. The final score was the same, right? So they both looked the same. Cardinals put up 22 points, while the Niners put up 26 points. So maybe we'll see 26-22 Niners. Then you wouldn't need that hook. But come on, Niners, let's go, right? We gotta hit one, guys. We gotta hit one. Got 5 weeks left before he just gets to really wanting to quit. All right, and then final game of the week, we got, and this again, I apologize. It is another. Before I move on, the last game, Cardinals, tons of injuries. Niners seem to be kind of coming back, rounding back from all their injuries. Everybody seems to be making their way back to the lineup, other than their 2 big dogs, which is important, obviously. Don't get me wrong. Cardinals can score. Cardinals can play D. They're a good team. They've had the short end of it a couple times, but let's stick to what we know, and let's go Cardinals. Let's go Niners over Cardinals, and make sure you get that to 3 points, just in case that is that knockout, drag them out field goal winner in the end. Final pick, and I'll try to get this one in quick. Ravens, and this over the Browns in Cleveland, which is crazy. So right now, the spread in this game is all the way up to 10 points. That's too much in a Cleveland game at home, and I think that yeah. So this is what's kind of got me up back and forth about my Packers pick, because I feel as if I need to buy either so many points on the Ravens, whatever I can buy, 2.5, to get, and that number's gonna just really raise up to like minus 250 or whatever. So then I'll want to switch the Packers play to a points play. But yeah, just the thing about playing in Cleveland is that there's just something about it where it just might gets a little sloppy sometimes, and it can get a little gross. And those games can have a lot of like turnovers. They can have a lot of yeah, just mental errors, whether it be penalties or whatnot, what have you. But the away team usually would be the one that suffers from that, right? The penalty part. You know, I don't know how cold it's getting up there. I should have checked the weather, but I know it's probably not going to be the best temperature. Like it's already starting to get chilly out here on the West Coast, so I can only imagine what's blowing off that, you know, the Great Lake right there. So, yeah, you know, we're sticking with the Ravens. We're sticking with the Ravens in a way like I wanted to stick with the Chargers and Packers earlier in the season. We're sticking with the Ravens because they flipped the script and they might not look back. They might have seen the light at the end of the tunnel, and a lot of the guys may have started walking towards it. And then Lamar comes back, you win 2 games in a row. All of a sudden, you can see every day, daylight. You're thriving, you're breathing again. And once you've seen the light at the end, once you've seen that, it's like a near-death experience, right? Changes your life, right? So like these guys, like their season was over for 3 weeks in a row. They're like, it's done. There's nothing we can do, you know, without our guy. And now he comes back. They go on a tear after a great win plus a 10-day basically training camp for whoever they played last week and whooped up on. You know, now they got a regular week, but they got a familiar opponent. They've been wanting to show everybody that they're back, and I gotta believe that they can do it against a team like this that we don't think like is very good offensively, can't really score. But again, if it's one of those sloppy games, the Ravens are not a team that's going to pass a field goal up at 30 yards. They're not going to go for it on 4th and 5 at the 35 if they can kick a field goal. So they're a team that did a couple weeks ago kick 5 field goals and still win by 14 points or whatever. But watch out in Cleveland, it's gross like that. Watch out. 9-3 at halftime, Ravens. You know, and then you're 1 score away. It gets gross. You know, if the Browns somehow score, then you're fighting back. So watch out for that big spread. Try to get buy some points off that, because we got 5 picks now. Got Bears plus the points. We'll stick with Packers money line. Go Texans -7, Niners -3, and then we'll go Ravens minus the points and buy as many as you can. If you don't feel comfortable with that, make the Ravens the money line and buy the Packers, or sell the Packers points -7 for the Packers. There'll be more scoring in the Meadowlands theoretically if the Packers are back on track than there will be in Cleveland. That's my prediction. Yeah, hopefully, yeah, if Thibodeau's out too, it could be even different story. So here we go again. We got 5 picks this week. Maybe the Bills was that 6th pick I was gonna miss, like I did last week. Don't be afraid to bet them straight up, because we've had some great weeks missing by 1. Damn Panthers. We'll get them this week. Here we go. Enjoy the games.